Breaking on 4 News Now at 6, the Hells Angel Clubhouse in East Spokane raided by the feds. We are live with what we know so far in the club's history with law enforcement.
I am tracking more wet weather making its way through the inland northwest. I'll let you know when the skies are expected to clear in your first alert forecast.
And changes are coming to Washington's largest homeless camp. We'll show you what was done today to make room for a fence around Camp Hope. You're watching 4 News Now at 6.
We start with breaking news out of East Spokane. Federal agents and Spokane police raided the Hells Angels Clubhouse this morning. Police only telling 4 News Now they had a search warrant.
East Sprague was closed in that area for hours. The scene is now clear tonight, but Emily Bloom is live where it all happened with what we know so far. Emily?
Yeah, the front door and the windows that were smashed this morning are already boarded up and fixed. There was a group that just left a few minutes ago. Now, while we were out here this morning, we did have the chance to talk with a few members of the Hells Angels. They told us that this was a, quote, all bogus. They did say they were served a search warrant, though. This motorcycle club has a history of run-ins with law enforcement in Spokane. In 2011, one person was arrested during a raid in which they uncovered half a dozen loaded weapons and marijuana. The FBI raid revealed the Hells Angels possessed drugs and 9 different loaded guns. A prominent member, Ricky Jenks, was later charged as a felon in possession of a firearm. Back in 2001, he was also convicted of second-degree manslaughter. And in 2015, we reported on a shooting outside of the Hells Angels. Now, Spokane police confirmed they moved forward on a search warrant in this neighborhood. The investigation involved both SPD and federal law enforcement. In order to prevent the investigation from being compromised, they said they couldn't share any more information other than that nobody was hurt in this raid. Now, as we learn more about what exactly happened this morning, we are going to keep you up to date. This is an ongoing investigation. Reporting live in Spokane, Emily Bloom, 4 News Now.
Well, here's a live look. Cool and cloudy day over downtown Spokane. We did get some much-needed rain, though.
I loved seeing the little raindrops on my mums today. So meteorologist Chris Crocker knows I've been trying to keep those alive. I'm going to have to start watering them, though.
Oh, well, they got a good drink today. In fact, we had record rainfall at the airport in Spokane. 45 hundredths, beating our previous record by just 1/100 of an inch. However, we have more rain to fall between now and midnight. Seems strange to be talking about just 45 hundredths of an inch as a record when they're measuring the rainfall in Florida up to a foot in 24 hours, but it is still needed rain across extreme eastern Washington and North Idaho. Some of the heaviest rain right now extending from the Sandpoint area down through Coeur d'Alene and parts of the Idaho and Washington Palouse. It's all rotating around an area of low pressure, and if it isn't raining at your house in Spokane right now, it likely will as we get another round moving in later this evening. Temperatures are in the 50s in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. It has been a cool day. The further west you go, the drier things have been. We find temperatures in the 60s, even the 70s in Wenatchee. Unfortunately, we did not get any rain on the wildfires burning in the Cascades. Right around the Spokane area, temperatures only in the 50s right now. We'll be warmer, drier, and sunnier in your Friday forecast. Clouds and fog to start the day, and then we'll see some sunshine as we get into the afternoon. A high temperature close to 70 degrees. That's just about average. We're going to have above average temperatures for the weekend. I'll tell you all about it in just a few minutes. Aaron?
Chris, thank you. We have breaking news from Washington State University. A member of the men's basketball team has been diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. Freshman guard Miles Rice released a statement saying, in part, "I will beat this heinous disease and will use my success to be a positive inspiration and uplifting testimony for others."
A new scam alert to warn you about tonight coming straight from the IRS. Scammers are now texting people claiming to be from the IRS. They're texting bogus offers like COVID relief, tax credits, or links to set up an online account. Now, these phishing website links are being sent to hundreds of thousands of people across the country right now. And once they hack your phone, they can empty your bank account. The IRS does not send emails or texts asking for personal or financial information or account numbers. So if you get a scam text, it's best to block the number and delete it. And definitely don't click on any web links.
Anyone driving through downtown Spokane tomorrow morning, you're going to want to avoid Spokane Falls Boulevard. It's going to be closed between Monroe and Wall Streets until at least 2 in the afternoon. Crews are dismantling this crane. You can still get into the parking garages at River Park Square and the Central Library. And you want to give yourself extra time to get down there.
That's right. I think there's going to be some construction crews closing the 2 left lanes of eastbound I-90. So we'll have more information on KXLY.com. Camp Hope is changing. The Department of Transportation is making room for a fence.
Oh, it's supposed to go up this week, but there's a lot that needs to happen first. Tonight at 6 o'clock, Esther Bowers shows us the new changes.
The Department of Transportation is here at Camp Hope right now. Camp managers tell me they are clearing out excess trash. This is stuff that the campers were collecting. They need to get rid of it to make room for a fence.
The camp is slowly getting cleaned up.
Excavators are clearing out piles of pallets and other fire hazards in the camp. The Department of Commerce wants to install a fence around the perimeter.
We want people to be safe. We want our campers to be safe. We also want the community to be safe.
Camp managers say the new fence should make the area safer. It also means a curfew is starting, and people living there will have rules. If people aren't happy with the changes, they'll be asked to leave.
This is no longer the Wild West of homeless services, which homeless camps tend to be.
This is the first step to secure the site so outreach providers can move people out of the camp and into housing. In East Central, Esther Bauer, 4 News Now.
Rescue efforts are currently underway in Florida, but chemicals and downed power lines hidden in more than 5 feet of water are not making the process easier. Coming up, how nearby states are supporting their first responders.
Right now, hundreds of Red Cross volunteers, including some from the inland Northwest, are in Florida helping families in need. Hear from one volunteer and how you can help coming up.
Track live radar on the 4 News Now weather app.
Leave your piggy bank at home. Save your green at Jennifer's Auto Sales and Service.
Do you really think you can fix this? You should have just called Andy's.
I can fix it. It's just a little...
We're freezing. You should have called Andy's.
Yeah, they have a 100% satisfaction guarantee.
Should have called Andy's.
Don't be like this guy. Call Andy's Heating and Cooling. So when the weather does this, your family does this. Go to andysheating.com for details on the 100% satisfaction guarantee. Carrier, turn to the experts.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. But one day, this farmer will use augmented reality to help ensure the best yield. Urban planners will model traffic solutions to help decrease commute times. Exploring a spacecraft in a museum is one thing. But one day, the metaverse will help students learn about the rings of Saturn. The metaverse may be virtual, but the impact will be real.
Thanks to Joe Biden, food, fuel, everything costs too much. His energy policies and massive spending spree are driving skyrocketing prices, fueling the worst inflation in decades. 2 years ago, we were a self-sufficient, energy-independent, energy-exporting nation. Today, our energy production has been crippled. I'm Mike Crapo. I approve this message. Let's stop the spending free-for-all, let loose American energy, and fix inflation.
Change is just a part of life. As humans, we're wired to handle life's changes, big and small. COVID-19 is one of those changes, and it's sticking around for a while, whether we like it or not. Each new wave requires us to adapt, to adjust, but together, we will. COVID keeps changing, but so can we. Visit takecarewa.org to learn how.
I'm Jonah, and I'd like to welcome you to the brand new Coeur d'Alene Nissan. You'll find the grand dealership lobby open, comfortable, and relaxing. A service center with state-of-the-art equipment committed to getting you quickly and safely back on the road. There's much more to experience. I'm inviting you to stop in and see us. We're just off Highway 95 in Coeur d'Alene.
Up and down Florida's West Coast, families facing flooded homes, neighborhoods underwater, roads blocked by debris, all as Hurricane Ian ripped through that area. Fire crews carrying out water rescues despite their own station being flooded, with some rescue crews getting around on jet skis.
Officials say more help is on the way. ABC's Rena Roy tells us when.
Catastrophic.
Are you guys okay?
And devastating. Hurricane Ian ravaging southwest Florida, leaving behind submerged neighborhoods and millions left in the dark.
2 people requesting rescue, water over their head.
The high water levels prompting desperate rescue calls in Lee County.
Caller reporting a sinking vehicle, unknown if he's breathing. Caller disconnected.
In Fort Myers Beach, Joe Orlandini and his family bunkering down on the 3rd floor of his home after water levels climbed the 2 floors below.
We weren't prepared for quite a storm of this magnitude. We were hoping it would dodge us. It didn't. It got worse.
Outside Orlandini's window, mountains of debris from decimated homes collecting in the flood.
And there's a bed. I can see, there's doors.
This entire home ripped from its foundation. And in Naples, Kimberly Walker telling ABC News about the moments water began to seep into her home.
The water got to be a lot more and a lot more and a lot more. And it was just, it didn't matter what you did. The water started coming into my home, reaching about mid-thigh. I knew I had to get out.
Walker and her dog forced to swim across the street to a neighbor's home.
The center was probably about up to here and running really fast. You can wash your clothes, but I can't replace my dog or my life, so.
More than 500 Red Cross disaster workers are on the ground in Florida to help with relief efforts as Hurricane Ian makes its way up the eastern seaboard.
And some of those volunteers are from right here in the inland Northwest. Our Bronte Sorotsky's live outside of the Red Cross tonight. She explains how they're helping out from across the country.
Well, that's right. Well, we do have volunteers in the inland Northwest, either on the way there or on the ground helping.
The devastation, it kind of boggles your mind on how high that water actually gets.
Debbie Lutzkis has been in Florida since 3 a.m. Thursday morning. She's the first of a few Red Cross volunteers from the inland Northwest helping with response to Ian and seeing that devastation firsthand.
There's going to be a very, very high number of total destroyed, mostly to the south of us. Because everything was underwater all the way up to the rooftops. So we're going to have a lot of long-term clients that we're going to be helping.
The Red Cross says their volunteers are trained in all different ways to respond to disasters.
When a disaster this big hits, the local area just doesn't quite have the resources to manage the response. And so volunteers from all over the country will be sent to that area to help with the response. And a number of those folks will be coming from our 15-county chapter.
This isn't the first natural disaster Lutzkis has been deployed to in her 6 years with the Red Cross. She says she does it to make it easier on those affected by devastation any way she can.
Just to help. They just had their whole lives upended or wiped away, and they just need a helping hand, and whatever I can do to make that a little easier for them, I'm willing to do it.
Even if that means missing the holidays.
Well, my husband's hoping I'll be home before Christmas, but I'm not going to bet on it.
The Red Cross has been overwhelmed with people calling to get involved with the relief efforts. Now, if you do want to help with the efforts in Florida, it's too late to sign up to volunteer, but monetary donations are still welcome. Reporting live in Spokane, Bronte Sorotsky, 4 News Now.
A communication squadron from the Washington Air National Guard from Fairchild Air Force Base is now heading to Florida. The 242nd Combat Communications Squadron was activated late this afternoon. The 4-man crew will help deploy Starlink satellite communication terminals. The Starlink internet network was used in rural Washington locations during the 2020 wildfire season.
Mark Peterson picked our R&R RV camping forecast location this week. It must be a good one. I'd like to check out Settlemeyer's Resort. That is on Spirit Lake, and they've got RV and tent camping, and it's going to be a great weekend there. Temperatures in the 70s with sunshine. I'll let you know what to expect where you live after the break.
Download the 4 News Now app today.
4 News Now is brought to you by Culligan Water.
Lake Talk Creek Winery invites you to our annual harvest celebration, September 30th through October 2nd. Sip our best blends, learn about our vineyards, and snack on Elena's cooking. Come and help us celebrate our 41st harvest.
Cheers.
Get exactly what you want. Wendell Ford is ready to help you find that vehicle you've been wanting to buy. Built for you. F-150, Bronco, Bronco Sport, Explorer, Mach-E, and Maverick. Here's how it works. Make a list of options you want. Wendell will work with you on financing to fit your budget. And then we will order the vehicle of your dreams or select from current inventory. Get exactly what you want. Built for you. Wendell Ford at the Y. Drive for generations.
There's nothing that beats the in-person experience of the Fall Festival of Homes. Whether you're buying, remodeling, or just looking for inspiration, you'll find everything you need to turn your ideas into reality. The 18th Annual Fall Festival of Homes will feature top local builders such as Camden Homes, Toll Brothers, and Greenstone. Sponsored by Fred's Appliance and brought to you by Spokane Home Builders Association. Local leaders, proven resources.
My son's name was Carson. He was just the light of my life. His anxiety and his inability to sleep caused him to purchase a pill from Snapchat, and we know that it's what killed him. Congresswoman McMorris Rogers is bringing awareness to this. She personally reached out to me. She took the time to hear Carson's story. She has been driven in trying to prevent further loss.
I'm Kathy McMorris Rogers, and I approve this message.
Tomorrow, you're gonna love this because Tell Him Kane. Yes, it's Kane Brown. Tomorrow, lighting up Good Morning America's concert series, sponsored by CarMax.
Lake Talk Creek Winery invites you to our annual harvest celebration, September 30th through October 2nd. Sip our best blends, learn about our vineyards, and snack on Elena's cooking. Come and help us celebrate our 41st harvest.
Cheers.
3, 2, 1.
Oh my gosh. Oh, wow.
Wow, those are the cheers of excitement coming from a NASA crew. They waited more than a year to crash a small spacecraft into an asteroid on Monday.
Wow, for sure.
That's, yeah, the reaction. Today, NASA released these new images from the Hubble and Webb telescopes from before and after the crash. So you see it's blue and then it's red. And clouds of material were ejected from the asteroid after contact. There we go, all blue now. The goal of the mission is to see if NASA is capable of changing the trajectory of an asteroid in case one ever threatened Earth.
I slept a lot easier this week knowing that they can do that, you know?
Big concern, big worry there.
Smart people at NASA.
Thank you, NASA, and all super smart scientists across the world. 55 degrees right now in Spokane with cloudy skies. Rain has stopped at the airport for the time being. We might not be done. 53 and raining at a pretty good rate in Coeur d'Alene. Southeast winds at 7 miles per hour. We'll have rain showers overnight tonight, at least for the first part of the overnight in Spokane, and lingering through tomorrow morning in parts of North Idaho. Tomorrow, clouds will be decreasing throughout the day after some clouds and fog to start. High temperature of 69. Our chance of rain over the next 12 hours will keep a chance through the early part of the overnight, and then that will be tapering off by tomorrow morning. We should be dry around the region. Here's our forecast radar starting off at our current time, keeping that chance of showers going as precipitation wraps around from the north and east. Right about 2-3 a.m., we really start to see things drying out for the Northeast Mountains, North Idaho, and most of the rain will be south of Coeur d'Alene onto the Palouse and the LC Valley by tomorrow morning. Skies begin clearing in the afternoon, and then by Friday evening, most of the region will be dry, still holding on to some clouds in North Idaho and possibly some mountain showers. Meanwhile, here's the bigger picture of what's going on. Area of low pressure is pulling away from the region. Grateful for the rain that it brought. We did not get any rain in the Cascades where we have active fires, and that would have been even better, but we have high pressure building in for the weekend. We're going to have to settle for sunshine, blue skies, temperatures in the 70s, and just a fantastic weekend for anything you may have planned outdoors. Overnight lows tonight will be down in the 40s and 50s. Our highs tomorrow, very much like today, the further west you go, the more sunshine you're going to get earlier in the day and the warmer the weather. 79 in Wenatchee, 74 in Moses Lake. We'll be in the 60s in Spokane, Moscow, Pullman, and Lewiston, and even cooler as we get into North Idaho again, holding on to those clouds for a good portion of the day through the Panhandle. Your 7-day forecast, sunshine full force coming for the weekend, and bump those temperatures up from yesterday into the mid-70s, 77 Saturday and Sunday, potentially getting up to 80 degrees on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. No sign of precipitation after tonight. Meanwhile, overnight lows in the upper 40s and lower 50s through the 7-day forecast. So gardeners are if you haven't had your freeze or your frost yet, we still have some time to enjoy those gardens before things really start to go downhill. We kicked off our Coats for Kids coat campaign yesterday in grand style out at the Safeway in Spokane Valley, and be on the lookout for the next month. We're collecting coats through the end of October. The locations on your screen, all taking coats, including every Safeway and Albertsons in the region, Global Credit Union, Great Floors, Jewelry Design Center new this year. We're going to have Alsco get them all cleaned up and into the hands of kids who need them before things really start to get cold. To find out more about where you can donate, head to KXLY.com/Coats for Kids. Also, this is where we will post where you can pick up a coat for your kid. That's coming in just a couple of weeks. We'll get that information out as well. Aaron?
Chris, thank you. Police in Philadelphia are still searching for the people who shot and killed a 14-year-old football player outside his school. Why they say this was not a random attack.
And in less than 24 hours, Russia is set to announce they're annexing part of Ukraine without having full control of those regions. How the U.S. and its allies will respond to the Kremlin breaking international laws. Coming up next on 4 News Now at 6.
Stream 4 News Now on your TV for free with the KXLY Plus app.
It's time for a new shower, but you don't want the hassle. You just want it done. Rebath. From start to stunning. Call us or visit rebath.com and save $1,250 off your complete bathroom remodel.
I was 34. I was a business owner. I was a single mom with a 4-year-old, and I felt a lump in the shower. I have cancer. It doesn't have me. I'm gonna get rid of it, you know, and then I'm gonna go on with my life. I was gonna do anything that it took. I did, and here I am, almost 10 years later. I had a little boy. He needs his mom.
Considering selling your RV? R&R wants it. Tired of paying storage fees? R&R needs it. Just don't use it anymore? R&R will buy it. Due to a critical shortage of pre-owned RVs, R&R RV is currently paying absolute top dollar for your used RV. Any year, any make, any model. Turn your RV into cash or flip it for a newer model. So if you no longer use it or want it, let R&R RV buy it. Visit the R&R RV Superstore in North Spokane or call Ryan at 509-244-5888.
It says here, United Healthcare has America's most chosen Medicare plans and local Medicare plan experts.
They'll even find you a plan with good dental coverage.
How do you know?
Scott, my local Medicare plan expert. He helped me find the right plan.
With benefits including prescription, drug, vision, and dental coverage, our Washington team is ready to help you find a Medicare plan that meets your needs and budget.
Talk to a local Medicare plan expert today at 1-888-SHOP-UHC.
Home. It's both a place and a feeling. At yours, you strive to make new memories, create traditions, share stories, find the fun, embrace the surprises, and celebrate moments big and small. Memories are made at home, in every room, in every moment. Make your house feel like home at the Tin Roof.
It's time for a new shower, but you don't want the hassle. You just want it done. Rebath, from start to stunning. Call us or visit rebath.com and save $1,250 off your complete bathroom remodel.
4 News Now is brought to you by the Satay Bistro.
Breaking news tonight, Eliza Fletcher, the woman from Memphis, Tennessee, who was kidnapped while out on her morning run, was shot in the back of the head. Memphis police arrested 38-year-old Cleotha Henderson for her murder. Henderson is being held in the Shelby County Jail without bond. He had previously been convicted of aggravated kidnapping in 2001, and he was released in November of 2020.
The war in Ukraine continues. Tomorrow, Russian President Vladimir Putin is set to announce Russia will annex a territory in Ukraine.
ABC's Elizabeth Schultze explains how the U.S. and its allies will respond for violating international law.
In a brazen violation of international law, Russian President Vladimir Putin is set to formally annex 4 territories of Ukraine. The Kremlin justifying the move by citing the results of staged elections in the Russian-occupied Ukrainian regions. Those elections have been widely condemned by the U.S. and its allies, who vow additional sanctions on Russia.
We will never recognize these illegal and illegitimate attempts at annexation.
The regions Putin plans to annex are not fully controlled by Russian forces as Ukrainians continue to defend their soil. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky declaring these brutal violations of the UN Charter must be punished. As Putin doubles down on the war, thousands of Russians continue to flee his military draft. Finland now closing its borders with Russia.
The aim of the resolution is to halt Russian tourism into Finland and transit through Finland to other Schengen countries.
Also today, NATO is formally blaming Russia for sabotage of the Nordstream 1 and 2 pipelines, which transport natural gas from Russia to Europe under the Baltic Sea.
We have to rethink how we are preserving, how we are making our critical infrastructure more resilient. And it's not going to be an easy task, and it's not going to be an easy task in plain winter.
A Swedish official today confirmed a 4th leak on the pipeline. The Kremlin denies any involvement with the leaks. Elizabeth Schultze, ABC News, Washington.
Around the nation tonight, the search continues right now in Philadelphia for the men responsible for ambushing 5 high school football players, killing one of them. Last night, police say they found the Ford Explorer used in the attack outside of that high school on Tuesday. Police are now calling this a targeted attack on at least one of the teens. Police saying the gunman waited at least 6 minutes before jumping out of an SUV, firing more than 60 rounds. Parents and neighbors are now calling for more security.
I believe if you only have one officer there, it would stop any of that, because, you know, they're not going to fire when they're going to be fired at.
Well, the Senate has passed a stopgap bill to prevent a government shutdown. It provides enough money to keep the government funded through December 16th. That pushes a potentially major fight on funding until after the midterm elections. The bill keeps all federal agencies afloat and also provides $12 billion for Ukraine. It passed on a bipartisan basis and now heads to the House.
Well, new tonight at 6 o'clock, Google is now taking steps to keep your information private. The company announced a new feature that gives you the option to request to exclude personal information from online search results. It's called Results About You. It focuses on keeping pages containing emails, personal phone numbers, and home addresses from Google searches. Once the application is received, Google officials will determine if that site should be removed from search results. The company admits even if it's removed from its search results, it will still be online. 6 states are now trying to put a stop to the president's student loan forgiveness plan.
Coming up, how they're using the president's own words against him.
Just under 6 weeks away from Election Day in Kootenai County, and this polling location is now in question after reports of voters feeling uncomfortable casting their ballot here. I'll explain why.
Sign up for breaking news alerts with the 4 News Now app.
You are unique, and so are your needs. At Axis Spine Center, we offer a team of highly trained spine care specialists who work together to provide you a customized treatment plan using the most innovative advancements in spine care available. We set new standards so that you can get back to what you love. Axis Spine, the region's only comprehensive spine care center.
Thanks to Joe Biden, food, fuel, everything costs too much. His energy policies and massive spending spree are driving skyrocketing prices, fueling the worst inflation in decades. 2 years ago, we were a self-sufficient, energy-independent, energy-exporting nation. Today, our energy production has been crippled. I'm Mike Crapo. I approve this message. Let's stop the spending free-for-all, let loose American energy, and fix inflation.
Flowers are fighters. That's why the Alzheimer's Association Walk to End Alzheimer's is full of them. Because flowers find a way to break through. Just like we will. Join the fight at alz.org/walk.
At Jewelry Design Center, we're one of the few shops in the country that can do everything in-house, start to finish. We're fortunate enough to have 2 locations, one in Spokane and one in the Tri-Cities. We don't send anything off-site. It's all done right here, and what that means for you is better pricing because we don't have a middleman that we have to mark up onto, and quicker turnaround time. You're having it back in a matter of days rather than a matter of weeks or months. We're in this for the long haul. We want to be your jeweler for life.
Next ET.
What a night, what a night, what a night, what a night.
From Oprah to Ava, our night out with Hollywood's power women. Plus, Only We're with John Legend talking about his new dad goals.
I'm looking forward to rolling it all out.
Then we've got butterflies for this Rob and Miranda Snyder exclusive.
Are you guys ready for a daddy-daughter trip?
You can do it. You can do it.
Next
ET. Watch 4 News Now at 6 and Entertainment Tonight at 7:30. Live from downtown Spokane, this is 4 News Now at 6:30.
Well, we're now 6 weeks away from Election Day, and tonight we're learning that one polling place in Kootenai County is now tentatively relocated at the voters' request.
It's a church whose political activities have voters feeling uncomfortable. County commissioners cited one example of the church publicly endorsing a Republican candidate during a service. KXLY's Jordan Smith breaks down what's happening in Kootenai County.
Well, the polling location in question is this one right behind me. It's Candlelight Christian Fellowship, and it's got voters feeling uncomfortable casting their ballots here because of the political leaning of the institution. Less than 6 weeks away from the general election, voters are making their voices heard to county commissioners.
We were approached by a number of people who came to us, and they basically said that they felt uncomfortable or unsafe voting at Candlelight.
The voters cited the church's political leanings.
I know they've also, from time to time during political campaigns, talked about, endorsed, prayed for political candidates in the sanctuary.
One of those candidates, Idaho's Lieutenant Governor Janice McGeehan. It's one of many activities that's prompted the commissioners to tentatively agree to change this polling location ahead of the election, pending more information and legal guidance from the county. But Commissioner Brooks says he's seen enough of that information to make a decision moving forward.
At this point, we'll not vote to change it from what it is now.
Commissioner Brooks feels locations don't necessarily have to be neutral for them to be a safe place for voters to submit their ballots.
My question is, have they ever and did they ever in any way, shape, or form make anybody coming to that polling place afraid enough that they wouldn't vote or kept them away? Do we have any polling information that shows that the number of ballots cast there is significantly lower than any other place? And the answer is we do not.
He says discomfort is not an appropriate reason to reassign a polling location this close to the election. The question he's asking, has the right to vote been infringed upon? Now, I reached out to the Candlelight Christian Fellowship, the elections office, and the county clerk. None of them were available for comment as of news time, but this is certainly a story we'll be keeping an eye on as it progresses. Reporting in Kootenai County, I'm Jordan Smith. I'll send it back to you.
It is a damp and dreary Thursday evening over Spokane right now. Big homecoming game going on with the LC Tigers. I'm wondering if my teenagers wore their rain jackets like I suggested. Any tips on how to get teenagers to dress appropriate for the weather? I am open to that. The showers are going to continue this evening. If you've got a break at your house, it will likely rain again between now and midnight. We'll be clearing throughout the day on Friday, heading into an amazing weekend, and it is going to be sunny next week. Needed rain in progress around the region. Right now we are dry for the most part in Spokane County. Much of the wet weather is in North Idaho. However, there is some wrapping around an area of low pressure, so we'll have another round of rain coming in later this evening and into the overnight. Temperatures definitely impacted by the rain and the clouds. 55 right now in Spokane, 53 in Coeur d'Alene. Quite a bit warmer and drier as we head to the west, where we've stayed dry for the most part in Moses Lake, Grand Coulee, and Omak. Temperatures right around the Spokane area, only in the 50s. We're not going to cool down much for overnight lows, bottoming out in the 40s. Here's a look at your day planner for tomorrow. Clouds and fog to start the day, and then we'll see some sunshine as we get into the afternoon. High temperature of 69 degrees, back up around average, and we're going to keep on warming up from there. I'll let you know how warm it is going to get in just a few minutes, Aaron.
Sounds good. Thank you, Chris. Multicare in Spokane is looking for 250 older adults to help test a new clinical vaccine. We're not talking about COVID. RSV is a cold-like virus most people associate with babies and little ones, but according to the CDC, about 14,000 older people die from RSV complications every year.
You know, I find that my older patients are generally pretty excited about new vaccines, you know, because they get health problems and they want to be safe, and they realize that things tend to hit them more severely than when they're young. So, you know, I tend to find my older patients' uptake on vaccines is pretty high compared to the younger crowd at times.
If you want to be part of that trial, you should be 65 years of age or older. Once the data is collected, it'll be forwarded to the FDA. If you want to sign up for the trial, we have a link. It's on our website, kxly.com.
Well, new tonight at 6:30, recovery efforts continue just off of Whidbey Island near Seattle for parts of that seaplane that crashed earlier this month, killing 10 people. Today, crews recovered the engine, and since the plane was found at the bottom of Puget Sound, crews had to bring in special equipment like this to withstand the strong currents and increased pressure. As of now, federal aviation investigators have not released what caused the crash. Well, the tight-knit community of Chattaroy bands together in support of two teenagers involved in a deadly crash. A taco plate fundraiser at Biggie's restaurant last night brought in just shy of $20,000. While it was held at Biggie's, about 25 other businesses donated things for a raffle or directly to the families. One of the Riverside teens involved in that crash last week died, and the other is still recovering. Family, friends have also set up a GoFundMe to raise money for funeral expenses and medical bills. You can find that link on our website, kxly.com.
To get ready for the holiday shipping season, USPS is holding what it's calling a hiring mega blitz across Washington. The Postal Service will hire 2,000 mail carriers, handlers, and clerks. Tomorrow, it's hosting job fairs from 10 to 3 at 6 locations in eastern Washington, including in Spokane, Pullman, and Colville, with pay ranging from $18.95 to $21.19 an hour. Applicants must be 18 years old at the time of appointment or 16 years old with a high school diploma. If you'd like more information on that job fair, as well as a link to apply, just look for this story on kxly.com.
New tonight at 6:30, hunters working for the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife have killed 2 wolves in Stevens County that have been targeting cattle. They both were part of the Lead Point wolf pack, and Fish and Wildlife officials say between August 22nd and September 9th, they received reports of members of that pack killing 3 cattle and injuring 2 others, leading it to authorize the lethal removal permit. With the death of the 2 wolves, the department says the permit has now expired.
6 Republican-led states are now suing the Biden administration to try and block the president's student loan forgiveness plan. Biden's plan forgives $10,000 in federal student loans for borrowers who earn less than $125,000 a year and up to $20,000 for those who also receive federal Pell Grants. The suit claims Biden's executive order is not tailored to address the effects of the pandemic on federal student loan borrowers, which is required by the 2003 federal law the administration is using as legal justification, pointing to a recent interview with CBS's 60 Minutes where he declared the pandemic over. The lead attorney saying, quote, "It's patently unfair to saddle hardworking Americans with the loan debt of those who chose to go to college." This is at least the second lawsuit this week trying to block the president's plan.
While these cases play out in court, the Biden administration is already sending out emails explaining how the program works. Sometime next month, the Department of Education will unveil an online application for debt relief. And they also warn those who apply to be cautious of scams trying to take advantage of the situation. Borrowers will not have to pay federal income tax on the student loan debt forgiven, but there are a handful of states that may have tax discharged debt if changes are not made. Well, we have much more coming up tonight at 6:30.
Including what is driving up used car prices and when we can expect them to cool off. And millions are still without power in western Florida. Coming up, we take a look at some of the destruction left behind by Hurricane Ian.
Download the 4 News Now app today.
ABC News, honored for excellence with 41 Emmy nominations, the most of any news organization anywhere. Thank you for making ABC News America's #1 news.
For all your residential and commercial painting needs, Everhart Painting has you covered. Everhart Painting's a family-owned business that has taken care of the Inland Northwest for over 50 years. Schedule a free estimate today.
These doors are closed because it's too dangerous to ask employees to work here anymore. Think about that. For decades, Patty Murray has spearheaded reckless policies that lead to shortages, inflation, and so much crime that you can't even get a cup of coffee from the hometown shop on Capitol Hill, even if you could still afford it. 30 years in the Senate, and this is what she has to show for it? If she won't do the job, I will. I'm Tiffany Smiley, and I approve this message.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. But one day, this farmer will use augmented reality to help ensure the best yield. Urban planners will model traffic solutions to help decrease commute times. Exploring a spacecraft in a museum is one thing. But one day, the metaverse will help students learn about the rings of Saturn. The metaverse may be virtual, but the impact will be real.
Oh, life, how small you start. In the beautiful beat of a tiny heart, a wonder to witness, a pearl so rare, will surround you with love and world-class healthcare. Providence. We see the life in you.
Democrats in Washington are threatening our way of life. Reckless spending fueling inflation. Shutting down energy production here at home. A push to defund the police. Kathy McMorris Rodgers is fighting every day to stop them and protect Eastern Washington. Cutting spending to curb inflation, unleashing American energy production, and making sure law enforcement has the resources they need. Kathy McMorris Rodgers, our voice.
I'm Kathy McMorris Rodgers, and I approve this message.
For all your residential and commercial painting needs, Everhart Painting has you covered. Everhart Painting's a family-owned business that has taken care of the Inland Northwest for over 50 years. Schedule a free estimate today.
Well, here's what people are clicking on most on KXLY.com. The Spokane School District is now teaching kids lessons they will use when they get out into the real world, including how to file taxes and apply for a credit card. It's part of these students' advisory period, and students get the time to start planning for their futures, whether that's college or something else after graduation. The school district says they listened to student input after they expressed they'd like to learn more than just basic academic curriculum.
Our kids are amazing, they're incredibly articulate, and they're more aware than ever regarding what the world has in store for them, and they're more aware than ever of the types of skills they might need, and they're advocating for themselves that we teach them those skills.
Parents play an important role in teaching teens how to do everyday adult things as well. School district officials recommend parents ask their teens for an invitation to the School Links app, where students take job assessments, make post-high school goals, and research career and college options. For a step-by-step guide on how to sign up, look for this story right now on KXLY.com.
Let's check in with the latest on Hurricane Ian. You're going to see some video and pictures from the ground here in just a moment, but the view from space and from the radar showing Hurricane Ian moving away from Florida, but intensifying now that it is in the open waters once again. Right now it is a Category 1 storm with 75-mile-per-hour sustained winds. It is expected to intensify, but making landfall potentially as a Category 1 storm tomorrow morning, our time, right along the South Carolina coast with 80-mile-per-hour sustained winds. The timing of it brings it in right at high tide, which is significant because it is that life-threatening storm surge that you've heard so much about that is expected to be a huge problem again in South Carolina, as well as hurricane-force winds and that unrelenting rain. Some locations in Florida, particularly around the Orlando area, getting up to 12 inches of rain in just a 12 to 24-hour period. That kind of puts our rainfall record into perspective today. We do have a new rainfall record at the airport of 4,500ths of an inch. That beats the previous record by just 100th, but we are going to be adding to this total most likely between now and midnight. We're right about average per day. Probably seems strange because it's been so dry, but if you think back to that cool, wet spring, it seems like a distant memory. That's where we gained a lot of our ground in the calendar year precipitation total. Much more impressive totals elsewhere around the region. It's been raining hard in Coeur d'Alene and Post Falls, Liberty Lake, Spokane Valley over a ½ inch of rain, also in Lewiston, Moscow and Pullman getting close to an inch of rain. And again, there is more to come. Here is a look at our forecast radar starting off at our current time. We will see another round of precipitation coming in right around 10 in the evening, excuse me, and then most of the rain through the night will be in North Idaho. Tomorrow morning, we're dry through the Northeast Mountains and North Idaho. We go down into the Idaho and Washington Palouse. We see the last of a few showers. Then we start clearing off as we get into the afternoon, possibly an isolated shower over the central panhandle, and it will take longer to clear in North Idaho tomorrow, maybe a bit of a gray day. Here's your 7-day forecast. There's not a lot of gray days in the 7-day outlook. In fact, we are breaking out into the sunshine big time for the weekend. Also a big jump in our temperatures. We're going to be up in the 70s. Our average high is about 10 degrees cooler than this. And then we're into the 80-degree range for Tuesday and Wednesday. Right now, it looks like we're going to be staying dry through the 7-day forecast. Cold days are coming, however, and that is why we are getting our Coats for Kids campaign underway. Again, we're in our 38th year, and watch for those boxes at your favorite locations. Drop in a new or gently used warm winter coat. We will get it cleaned at Alsco and into the hands of kids in your neighborhood who need them just in time for the really cold weather. To find out where you can donate, head to KXLY.com/coatsforkids. Also, that is the location, if you bookmark it, where you can find out where to pick up a coat. We'll get that information up in just a couple of weeks. Aaron?
Everyone's going to want to know that. Thank you, Chris. Hurricane Ian, like Chris was just saying, is now making its way up the East Coast with parts of the coast already evacuating.
Ian made landfall as a Category 4 hurricane, knocking out power for 2 million customers, and at least 7 people have died. ABC's Morgan Norwood gives us a look at some of the destruction left behind.
Hurricane Ian shredding the Florida peninsula, making landfall near Fort Myers as one of the most powerful storms in the state's history.
The impacts of this storm are historic, and the damage that was done has been historic.
The Category 4 storm slicing southwest Florida with winds of up to 140 miles per hour. peeling off roofs from homes, and the dangerous 12-foot storm surge scattering debris everywhere. Mangled boats littered along the beach, wreckage scattered across the sand, and the high waters stranding families who thought they could ride it out.
We weren't prepared for quite a storm of this magnitude. We were hoping it would dodge us. It didn't. It got worse.
Others had to be rescued by first responders. Scenes of residents being trucked out of floodwaters by massive vehicles or simply being carried out. Ian unleashing its wrath on cities inland. Kissimmee drenched in rain, floodwaters creating a lake around these buildings. And in Orlando, patients from a nursing home facility had to be rushed to safety. First responders escorting them out one by one. From southwest Florida to North Florida, Hurricane Ian leaving a trail of destruction. Ahead of his visit to FEMA headquarters, President Joe Biden on the phone with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, approving the state's emergency disaster declaration, unlocking federal funding for the long road to recovery ahead.
We're continuing to see deadly rainfall, catastrophic storm surges, roads and homes flooded. We're seeing millions of people without power and thousands hunkered down in schools and community centers. They're wondering what's going to be left. What's going to be left when they get to go home, quote unquote home.
Ian is on the verge of powering up once again to hurricane status as it moves over the Atlantic. It's taking aim at South Carolina and its governor also declaring a state of emergency. Morgan Norwood, ABC News, Tampa, Florida.
Let's take a look at ABC's primetime lineup tonight. It's Celebrity Wheel of Fortune at 8 and gather the kids for the Halloween classic Hocus Pocus at 9.
Stream 4 News now on your TV for free with the KXLY Plus app.
Do you really think you can fix this? You should have just called Andy's.
I can fix it. It's just a little...
We're freezing. You should have called Andy's. Yeah, they have a 100% satisfaction guarantee.
Should have called Andy's.
Don't be like this guy. Call Andy's Heating and Cooling. So when the weather does this, your family does this. Go to andysheating.com for details on the 100% satisfaction guarantee. Carrier, turn to the experts.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. But one day, this lecture hall will be made of code. And though they're virtual students, what they'll learn together is real. A surgeon will be able to practice as many times as needed in the metaverse before laying her hands on a real patient. Being able to explore a spacecraft is one thing, but the metaverse will let us go farther than any rocket can take us. In the future, students will be able to take a field trip to ancient Rome. And young artists can learn from a masterpiece. Farmers will one day use augmented reality to help ensure the best yields. And urban planners will be able to model traffic solutions to help decrease commute times. So while the metaverse may be virtual, the impact will be real.
Trends come and go, but luxury's always in style. Now's your chance to buy beautiful Care Stand flooring at a price you can afford. During National Care Stand Month, you can save on Care Stand flooring. Elevate your decor with the designs and quality of Care Stand carpet, or choose from Care Stand's Luxcraft luxury vinyl tile collections. Don't miss your chance to live beautifully with Care Stand. Hurry in now to Skelton's Carpet One in Lewiston.
Thanks to Joe Biden, food, fuel, everything costs too much. His energy policies and massive spending spree are driving skyrocketing prices, fueling the worst inflation in decades. 2 years ago, we were a self-sufficient, energy-independent, energy-exporting nation. Today, our energy production has been crippled. I'm Mike Crapo. I approve this message. Let's stop the spending free-for-all, let loose American energy, and fix inflation.
More Americans choose ABC News, America's #1 news source.
New tonight at 6:30, buying a new car has never been easy, but thanks to rising costs and interest rates, even buying a used car can set you back tens of thousands of dollars.
ABC's Justin Finch explains what is driving up the price and when we can expect that to cool down.
Used car lots across the country are a lot emptier than they used to be. The team here says that's largely due to the global supply chain shortage, and they say it'll be some time before their lot and others fill up again. For more than 2 years, used vehicle sellers have found themselves stuck on a rough ride.
It's uncharted and it's continuing.
Everett Helmuth is president of 9 Washington, D.C. area auto dealerships selling new and used vehicles. He says new auto production is still lagging because of the trickle-down effect of early COVID-era factory shutdowns and part shortages.
We turn the switch off. We can't expect it to come right back on.
As the country waits, many new vehicle shoppers are buying used, just as used auto sellers face surprising competition.
There's market shifts that are happening in the rental companies that are buying vehicles used. It puts a lot of pressure on us because we have to then buy a vehicle at a higher price.
Rental car companies paying top dollar for older cars, trucks, and vans to meet booming demand from Americans, now back to traveling at pre-pandemic levels.
Used car prices were up over 40%, so they increased over 40% in 2021 alone on average.
Analysts at vehicle history tracking company Carfax find used vehicle prices now averaging around $30,000. But in the coming year, as more auto manufacturing and parts come back online, Carfax says prices could cool.
Our analysts are looking into 2023 that consumer demand has come down a little bit, new car production has come up a little bit, and they do expect to see some relief for a used car buyer as far as prices.
Justin Finch, ABC News, Suitland, Maryland.
Sign up for breaking news alerts with the 4 News Now app.
There's nothing that beats the in-person experience of the Fall Festival of Homes. Whether you're buying, remodeling, or just looking for inspiration, you'll find everything you need to turn your ideas into reality. The 18th Annual Fall Festival of Homes will feature top local builders such as Camden Homes, Toll Brothers, and Greenstone. Sponsored by Fred's Appliance and brought to you by Spokane Home Builders Association. Local leaders, proven resources.
My husband has diabetes.
Even with health insurance, we're having a hard time affording our medications.
Thankfully, we have Patty Murray fighting for us in the U.S. Senate. She kept at it till Congress finally lowered the cost of prescription drugs.
And capped insulin for seniors at $35 a month.
Now we'll save thousands every year. We know when Patty is back in the other Washington.
She is working for us.
I'm Patty Murray, and I approve this message.
Cold case in Alaska. Her death is part of a pattern, and we need to show who's to blame.
We're going to break this story.
If you're turning 65 soon or over 65 and planning to retire, now's the time to learn more about an AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan from United Healthcare and get help protecting yourself from the out-of-pocket costs Medicare doesn't pay. Because the time to prepare is before you go on Medicare.
Don't wait. Get started today.
Call United Healthcare for your free decision guide.
Thanks to Joe Biden, food, fuel, everything costs too much. His energy policies and massive spending spree are driving skyrocketing prices, fueling the worst inflation in decades. 2 years ago, we were a self-sufficient, energy-independent, energy-exporting nation. Today, our energy production has been crippled. I'm Mike Crapo. I approve this message. Let's stop the spending free-for-all, let loose American energy, and fix inflation.
They made a movie out of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial.
No one should have to go through this.
Next, Inside Edition, he plays Johnny.
I did tell the truth.
She plays Amber.
I'm not a saint.
Behind the scenes, how they pulled it off so quickly. Then, hurricane hacks. What really works? And what doesn't?
You might want to put your valuables in your car. Right. Don't do it.
Next, Inside Edition.
Watch 4 News Now at 6 and Inside Edition at 7.
Coming up on Nightside, T-Mobile is using new technology to detect wildfires. How artificial intelligence is playing a role in protecting homes. That's coming up at 11 o'clock.
Rain showers will continue through the evening and the first part of the overnight. Clouds and fog to start your Friday, but we'll get some sunshine going by the afternoon. High temperature up close to 70 degrees. It's going to be even warmer and sunnier for the weekend.
My favorite thing is looking at your 7-day and seeing 80s again, because that was just a surprise. Another surprise.
Yes. I know. No complaints. It looks pretty good after today.
Yes, it does. Going to enjoy it. We'll see you at 11 o'clock.